Why are you so different from the people around you? Same situation, same information, a completely different choice. Some resist pain, others accept it, some decide alone, others look around first. You didn't choose this. The worldview you were born into already decided it for you. 7 systems, 7 ways of being human. Let's see which one built you. The Christian worldview. Roughly 2.4 billion people, the most widely spread single worldview in human history. In this system, time moves in a straight line. There was a creation, there is a present, there will be a judgment. On that line, humans make choices and carry responsibility for them. Responsibility is personal. If I did wrong, I am the one who must fix it. History has a direction. There is a better world ahead, and we are supposed to move toward it. The individual stands before God alone. Whatever crowd surrounds you, you are still you. Think about making a serious mistake at work. Someone living inside this worldview turns inward first. What did I do wrong? How do I correct it? I'll do better next time. If that pattern feels familiar, this system is running inside you. The self-improvement culture that now spans the entire globe, endlessly demanding a better version of you. Some theologians have pointed out that its structure is almost identical to the Christian story of salvation. Only the object of faith has changed, from God to the self. This worldview doesn't only operate in believers, it has already moved into cultures far beyond its origins. The Islamic worldview. Roughly 1.9 billion people, the fastest growing worldview on Earth. By 2050, it is projected to match Christianity in scale. The most powerful concept in this worldview is the Ummah, the community. You stand before God alone, yes, but you also exist as part of something larger. Right now, 1.9 billion people are oriented toward the same point on Earth 5 times a day, in the same words. Community honor comes before individual preference. Submitting to God's will. In this worldview, that is not weakness. It is a way of structuring an entire life. Every act of daily existence, eating, sleeping, doing business, belongs inside the domain of faith. When someone in the family does something, the wider community considers wrong. Inside this worldview, that is not an individual problem. The whole community is implicated. Community can be the place that judges you, but it is also the structure that carries what you cannot carry alone. At its peak between the 9th and 13th centuries, Baghdad was the largest city on Earth and the center of human knowledge. Greek philosophy, Indian mathematics, Persian astronomy, all translated, preserved, and advanced there. When Europe moved toward the Renaissance, one of the paths that knowledge traveled ran through the scholars of this worldview. The Hindu worldview. Roughly 1.2 billion people. One of the oldest surviving worldview systems in human history, stretching back before 2000 BCE. In this worldview, time is circular. There is no end. The universe generates, dissolves, and generates again. And this life, this particular life, is not the whole story. Present suffering may be the consequence of past actions. Acceptance comes more naturally than resistance. Your position in society is not random. There is reason behind it. Truth is not singular. Multiple gods, multiple paths, they can coexist. When you are faced with something completely outside your control, some worldviews immediately search for solutions, some turn to prayer. The Hindu worldview accepts first. If this is my karma, understanding comes before resistance. That acceptance is not passivity. It is a way of reading the world on a longer timeline. The word karma has now crossed far outside Hinduism into everyday language across the world. Most people who use it are not Hindu. Worldviews travel faster than the faiths they came from. The Buddhist worldview. Around 500 million practicing Buddhists, but its cultural reach across Southeast Asia and now into Western clinical psychology goes much further. Buddhism does not place a god at the center, it places a question there instead. Why do humans suffer? And it has been working on that answer for 2,500 years. Suffering is inherent. Don't try to eliminate it, try to understand it. The more you cling to the self, the greater the suffering. This moment is all there is, when you lose someone you love. Some worldviews hold on through the hope of reunion. Some move forward by preserving memory. The Buddhist worldview does not try to remove the grief. It moves through it, understanding that clinging is what made it hurt and that passing through is the only way. In this worldview, grief is not something to overcome. It is something to experience. Buddhism is now spreading faster as psychology than as religion. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is officially recommended in the UK's National Health Guidelines as a treatment for preventing depression relapse. A 2,500-year-old practice has entered modern clinical medicine. The Confucian worldview, East Asian humanism rooted in relationships. No official believers, but it still governs the thinking of over 1.6 billion people across Korea, China, Japan, Vietnam, and Singapore. There is no all-powerful God in this worldview. Instead, there is a living web of relationships, parent and child, teacher and student, senior and junior. And your value as a person is measured by how well you perform your role inside that web. You are only defined through relationships. The idea of a fully independent individual feels foreign here. Face, what some translate as social dignity, is not vanity. It is the language of keeping relationships intact. The present world is what matters. Living well now and passing something real to the next generation, when what you want and what you are supposed to do collide. In some worldviews, that is simply a personal decision. It's my life. In this worldview, the collision is never simple. Relationships, expectations, and roles are all inside that choice. Breaking from them doesn't produce guilt. It damages the relationship itself. Confucianism is not a religion. No God, no afterlife, no prayer. And yet the societies shaped by this worldview consistently show some of the highest rates of educational investment and family cohesion in the world. Secular humanism, or the atheist worldview. Roughly 1.2 billion people with no religious affiliation. The fastest growing worldview category of the last 2 decades. This worldview rejects God, but that does not make it nihilism. It is almost the opposite. If there is no God, then this life, these people, this world is everything, which means it deserves to be taken seriously. Without an afterlife, this life is the most precious thing there is. Morality is not handed down from above. This worldview argues it is something humans negotiate with each other. Reason and evidence are the standard for truth. Why should anyone be good? Some worldviews answer, because God commands it. This worldview answers differently. Even without God, reducing the suffering of others is right, because we are beings who share the same capacity to feel. Morality doesn't come from above. It is built between people standing next to each other. The countries that consistently rank as the happiest on earth are also among the least religious. In those societies, religious identity and actual belief have long since separated. Without God, trust, equality, and high quality of life can still function. That is why this worldview is gaining ground in this particular moment in history. Animism, or indigenous worldviews. Between 400 and 500 million people. But that number is understated, because this worldview lives inside far more people, layered beneath other faiths. This is the oldest worldview. When humans first tried to explain the world, this came first, and it has never fully disappeared. Nature is not something to conquer, it is something to be in relationship with. Ancestors do not vanish when they die. They continue to have influence. The world is made of what you can see and what you cannot. When a decision is made to develop a piece of land, some worldviews frame it as an economic calculation. Humans were given dominion over nature. In this worldview, that land is not a resource. It is an entity, something you enter into relationship with before you act. This is why indigenous communities are consistently at the front lines of environmental movements around the world. In the Amazon, forests managed by indigenous communities have been removing about 340 million tons of CO2 from the atmosphere every year, roughly equal to the United Kingdom's entire annual fossil fuel emissions. Meanwhile, the forests outside their stewardship have become net emitters. The oldest worldview is being called back to the table to address the newest problem. 7 systems. Where do you belong? Probably not in just one. You may live by the grammar of a worldview you never chose. You may carry beliefs you don't even recognize as beliefs. Something is running inside you right now. Underneath all of it, there is a worldview. Knowing what it is, that's where it starts. The answer isn't in the sky, it's in the worldview that raised you. If this made you think, subscribe. There's more where this came from. And drop your worldview in the comments. Thanks for watching.